Welcome to Throwback Thursday, where we bring you a homeopathy hangout episode from our archives in case you missed it first time round. Because this episode may be a couple years old by the time you hear it as a throwback, some of the special offers, links, or content may not be valid anymore, so please keep this in mind when listening. You're always welcome to reach out to us at info@eugeniekruger.com. Enjoy the episode. Hello homies, I have decided to start the Homeopathy Hangout bulletin board, which I'll attach at the start of each episode and update every now and again, so I can provide you with some up-to-date information on courses, new books, and events happening in the world of homeopathy worldwide. So the current update is from 15 September, which means that if you've already heard this bulletin, you can skip ahead to the episode. If you haven't, then stick around so you don't miss out. If you're a homeopath who would like to share about your new course, book, or event, or maybe a homeopathic charity who is in need of donations, email me at info@eugeniekruger.com so that I can add you to our bulletin board. To kick things off, I am super excited to tell you that my beautiful friend, Denitsa Appeline-Matic, who's been on the podcast a few times now, has released some new books. One of them is called Born Feisty. There is also Nature's Medicine Code and the Blueprint Method. I was reading the Blueprint Method on the plane on our way back from the Bali conference, and this book resonated with me so deeply. I just quickly want to read out a bit of a synopsis from her website for you on these books. So for Nature's Medicine Code, it says, have you ever wondered why some medicines and foods make you sick and other medicines and foods don't? What if everything you put into your body, medicines, food, toiletries, and cosmetics, could be classified as health-promoting or potentially illness-causing by a simple mathematical number and a simple geometric shape? Pharmaceutical companies use medicine codes to classify medicines and vaccines. But what if nature has its own medicine code too, which, once you understand it, will enable you to make choices that support your health? And a quick synopsis of the Blueprint Method. It says, we are living in unprecedented times that have led to a huge expansion in our miasmatic map. Much of this is caused by trauma and the division this can cause in our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. In this book, we explore these traumas, including the man-made influences that we see in our world today. In order to transcend these influences, it's time to work to heal the biggest organ we have, which is not our skin, it is our energy field. This is the new way of working with SAR codes and brings wholeness that transcends the challenges we see in our world today. This book represents the homeopathic remedies that transcend the multitude of miasmatic influences we now face and bring health and healing to our bodies, minds, and soul. Denitsa has also written a book called Born Feisty, which is her personal memoir. There are some themes in there that might be a little bit triggering, so I'm not going to read it out here, but I do encourage you to go to her website, denitsaappeline-matic.com. That's DANICAAPPOLLINEMATIC.com. Denitsa has also recently founded the Golden Spiral School of Homeopathy, which several of my clients have joined, and everyone has already been raving about it, even though they've only had their first lessons. There's only a couple of places left, so if you still want to join last minute, you can get in touch with Denitsa through her website. I also want to share with you a really exciting course that Anke Zimmerman is running again. So Anke Zimmerman featured on episode 38 of this podcast, and she is once again running her popular course called Homeopathy Training for Autism Management and More. This is specifically for homeopaths and also some parents who are well versed in homeopathy and autism who can also apply to do this course. The course is all about helping children with autism and other challenging developmental and behavioral issues. Anke Zimmerman is a world-class homeopathic practitioner with a practice focus on autism. She is achieving consistent and predictable results with children with these challenges. She is teaching a 6-month course with live cases on the successful homeopathic management of autism and related complex cases for practitioners and some selected parents. The website is ankezimmerman.net/homeopathy-training-autism-management more.html. But if you just pop in Anke Zimmerman in Google, sure, it will come up. So that's Anke, and her surname is Zimmermann. Best of all, if you use the code HOMIES at checkout, you will receive a $100 US discount. So remember to use the code HOMIES, HOMIES. In other news for our bulletin, for those who don't know, I have a Facebook group called Homeopathy Hangout Podcast, which I've created specifically for listeners and guests of the show. This is the place for you to connect with guests and ask them questions directly. Also, if there is something that we mentioned on the podcast that you might need some clarification on, then this is the place to ask. It's also great for any sort of events that's happening, or if you want to connect with a homeopathic practitioner. So just type in Homeopathy Hangout Podcast in Facebook and the group will come up. In other news, a few months ago, my husband created our own AI bot called Jeannie. You can find her in the bottom right-hand corner of my website, www.eugeniekruger.com, and you can ask her any acute homeopathic question for free. She has already helped hundreds of people around the world for free 24/7. So go and say hi to Jeannie by visiting www.eugeniekruger.com, and you'll find her in the bottom right-hand corner. Also, in case you didn't know, I sell an incredible selection of one-of-a-kind homeopathic kits that I have created myself over many years, as well as a unique selection of combination remedies which I have created myself based on a decade of clinical experience. I also have over 2,300 homeopathic remedies in our dispensary, as well as Narayana remedies. So if you're looking for a remedy that's not listed on my site, just email my team at info@eugeniekruger.com. My team processes and ships orders worldwide, and they're incredibly fast at processing your order. There's also a special section on my website under Shop that's called Royalty Remedies. These are remedies made by Denitsa Applein-Matic, like Golden Spiral and Flower of Life, as well as Paul Terrio's Wellwitchia remedy, and there will be more added soon. These remedies have a 10% markup on them because that 10% of the sale of each remedy goes to the creator of the remedy to support their work. This is something that I really hope homeopaths and homeopathic pharmacies will adopt more. At the moment, it's worked really well, and I hope it will continue to grow. I also have a team of 5 homeopaths who are ready to support you in your healing journey. You can listen to my interview with all of them on episode 243 of the podcast to see who you resonate with. You can also book a free 15-minute chat with each of them before making your booking to ensure you're the right fit. They also offer acute consultations, which is great if you just can't find that right remedy for that cough or that headache or whatever else you're dealing with. You can just visit www.eugeniekruger.com and click the bookings link. And last but not least, please allow me a quick moment to plead for your financial support of this podcast. If the Homeopathy Hangout has ever been of benefit to you, please consider making a donation to support my work. You can do this by visiting www.eugeniekruger.com and click the donate button at the top. Every donation of $10 and more receives a shout out on a future episode. Many people don't realize that it costs me around $120 to produce each episode. This is for my incredible editor to edit and upload the episode, write the show notes, to upload the video to Rumble, and for my lovely VA to create the audiograms to go on the socials. So there's really a lot of work that goes on. This does not cover my time in actually recording the episodes. This is purely just the charges to actually get all the content out there and get it edited. Without your donations, the cost of running the podcast comes out of my own pocket. So please do consider donating to help me keep running the show. A few months ago, the show had just managed to break even for the first time, but we're once again running at a loss. So honestly, every tiny little bit will help. So a big thank you to everyone for listening. Oh, one quick little question as well, if you're not already. Please do check out my channel on Rumble. As you may know, YouTube deleted my channel a while ago for medical misinformation. That was due to us talking about vaccine injuries and some other bits and pieces on some episodes. So they just removed all 300 of my videos off YouTube and banned my account. So you can now find me on rumble.com. Just go to rumble.com/C/homeopathy hangout, or just go to rumble.com and type in homeopathy hangout, and please click on follow so you don't miss out. I am considering starting a new YouTube channel and maybe just using it for shorts or maybe just some clips so that anything that may be seen as controversial is not on there and doesn't get me in YouTube jail again. But for the moment, make sure that you just join us on Rumble. Whichever podcast listening app you're listening to, please click the follow button and please give us a 5-star rating. It really goes such a long way to get our stats up and to help push our podcast out to more people. So that's another way that you can help to support us. And please do share the podcast on your socials and tell your friends. Every tiny little bit helps. So thank you so much for listening and enjoy the episode. Homeopathy for Health in Africa is a non-profit organisation working to help some of the world's most vulnerable citizens. They are a 100% donor-funded grassroots organisation that creates on-the-ground sustainable healthcare programs through homeopathic treatment and training. I personally only donate to organisations where I know the money will go directly to the people who need it most, instead of getting gobbled up in advertising and administration. So I am a proud sponsor of Homeopathy for Health in Africa, and I can be rest assured that my $22 monthly contribution will buy 10 prepared homeopathic remedies or pay for one of the locals to organise an outreach clinic. I love that such a small amount keeps homeopathy alive and helps so many people. Change comes from action, not thought. So if you're somebody who wants to make a difference for the future of homeopathy, donate now by visiting www.homeopathyforhealthinafrica.org. That's homeopathyforhealthinafrica.org. And in case you're wondering, this advert is sponsored by me. So not a cent has been spent on advertising, which means more money can go to the people who need it most. In today's episode, I had the huge privilege of interviewing Dr. Farokh Master, who is a true homeopathic living legend of our time. He has been practicing homeopathy for over 4 decades, written dozens and dozens of books, lectured all over the world, and received so many awards and accolades that we would need to do a whole separate episode just to list them all off. He was responsible for introducing homeopathy into mainstream hospitals in India over 30 years ago, and he's the founder of the Homeopathic Health Centre, which he set up in 1984, and where he has over 20 homeopaths working extremely long hours to help thousands of patients return to better health. Also be sure to scroll back to episode 71, where I interview his gorgeous daughter, Dr. Farokh Master. I know you're going to love this episode. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangouts. Today, we have the massive privilege of welcoming Dr. Farokh Master from India to our show. Welcome, Farokh.
Thank you.
Now, your resume is so unbelievably long, and I know that you've been practicing homeopathy for many decades now, but still, my brain explodes when I try to think of how one person can fit as many professional achievements into one lifetime as you have. We've had your beautiful daughter, Farokh, on the show as well, and I could tell from speaking to her that you are such a big inspiration to her, as you are to the whole homeopathic community worldwide. So I just really want to take the moment to thank you for your incredible work and everything that you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, there's lots of things that we can chat about today, but something that I am very interested in is your Homeopathic Health Centre. Now, I believe you started that in 1984, right?
Yes.
Wow.
So I passed in my homeopathic education in 79.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately after passing, I joined hospital to gain experience and did not start my private practice. And for almost 6 years, I stayed in the hospital day and night and tried to see the efficacy of homeopathic medicine in different hospital-borne infections and serious patients. Only after gaining experience in the hospital for 6-7 years, I decided to leave the homeopathic hospital and started my own private practice. Plus, I joined allopathic hospital and started the department of homeopathy over there because I already had a good background of 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly, the ship started sailing and we went into more and more hospitals and more attachments. And I kept very busy, and since 1985, I started teaching abroad. I have been to your country many times, Australia, New Zealand, to teach with different associations. And so I started expanding and shared my knowledge with different homeopathic communities and even allopathic communities. In fact, in the last 10 years, I have started presenting paper on cancer in the World Congress of Cancer, which was very unknown. It was totally ruled by the allopathic doctors, but I started presenting paper on alternative medicine, which is homeopathy and cancer, and it was accepted. So that was very good. And even in this September, I'm going to Toronto, Canada to attend one more World Congress where I shall be presenting my paper on depression in advanced cancer patients, how they are treated with homeopathic drugs. So such kind of research, I keep on doing it because in today's world, nothing can be accepted if you are not on a scientific platform. And so I work together with the allopathic doctors. I take the protocols from research units and try to apply that protocol into homeopathic therapeutics. And that's how I do research. And even the funding, I put it from my own pocket, so I don't get any funding for my research. So every 2-3 years, I am able to bring out one research paper. And slowly, we would like to at least collect 10-15 research paper. If God gives me enough life to live, I think so we can do that.
That's really wonderful that you're actually making the effort to work alongside the allopathic model, because like you say, that's the only way that homeopathy really is going to gain acceptance, if we can show, some actual proof, which obviously with homeopathy can be hard sometimes because we are almost the complete opposite of allopathic medicine in the way that we operate. So do you find that hard, putting out research papers and making that accepted in the mainstream model?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was a very hostile atmosphere and a very stepmotherly treatment, because definitely people are a little cautious that who is this guy who is odd man out, something like that. But then gradually, if you are persistent and if you are honest and if you are very sure of what you really want in life, things do happen.
The other thing I was very interested is I was reading that you were responsible for introducing homeopathy into the mainstream hospitals in India, right?
Yes.
And just what does that look like? Like, I would love to have a chat about that because I had my appendix out at the end of January.
See, the problem is that homeopathy is a very vast science. And very little has been applied so far. And whatever little has been applied so far in the world is related to skin disease and allergy. But the scope is huge.
Yes.
And to expand the scope of homeopathy, since I was working in the hospital, I thought, why not introduce homeopathy and explore other areas than allergy and skin disease. And so about 35 years back, I started department in one hospital for homeopathy and gradually giving small remedies for little problems. Like I tell you, my first case was in the hospital was of a man who had a heart attack. And he was hospitalized. And slowly, after 10-15 days after the heart attack, his pumping of the heart became very weak. And the doctor said, oh, now nothing much can be done. And we have to wait and watch. And, the wife became very insecure. And she came to me and said, look, you just started a new department. Can homeopathy offer something so that my husband's life can be saved? Because doctor years have absolutely put hands up and said that we have to wait and watch. Otherwise, we can't assure you any cure. So I went, met the man, talked with him and gave him one medicine known as Digitalis. And to my wonders, the pumping improved after 10 days. And his slowly in the next 1 month, the pumping in the beginning was only 20%. And it went up to about 33% in 1.5 months. And the life of that man was saved. So it was such a big thing that homeopathy can help in the field of cardiology. So slowly people develop faith, the doctors develop the faith, and then I started treating more serious cases. And now today we have Department of Homeopathy in about 3 major hospitals in Bombay, where we conduct homeopathic treatment for palliative oncology, what is known as cancer, and general OPD. And it is being run very successfully. I'll tell you, my first day, when I was interviewed by the hospital management before I started my cancer outpatient department. So there were about 20 big surgeons and cancer specialists sitting in an interview room. And I, like a small mouse, entered the room, and they asked me that, what do you want to do in our hospital? And I said, I want to do exactly the same thing that you all do. And they said, but we also cure cancer with allopathic treatment, and we also help patients with allopathic treatment. What are you going to do? Because we already help people, and people whom we help never got cancer for next 20 years, 30 years of their life. So only if you are going to do something more than what we do, then we want you in the hospital. Otherwise, we don't want you. This was a very tough situation. So what I said is that I totally accept that you all cure with chemotherapy, radiation, and operation cancers, and people don't get recurrence, some of them, not all of them. But if at all some people get recurrence, and then you again try operation, chemotherapy, and radiation, and then again the cancer appears, and then you do it 2-3 times, and then you give up and said, look, nothing much can be done. I think I would take care of those patients with homeopathy. I would assure them the word cure, but I would definitely assure them a life full of respect and dignity. So if you can allow me to do this part, I am not aiming for a very bigger results, Just allow me to reduce one tablet of morphine which the patient is taking with the help of homeopathic drugs. I think so I have done a great job. And if I can start with 0, I would like to then go to 1, 2, 3, 4. But for first many years, I just want to stick to 0 and 1. Somehow they like this idea. And they said, okay, we will give you patients to treat who are on a highest dose of morphine sulfate. That is about 60 milligrams per day. Now, 60 milligrams of morphine means you are almost a zombie because you are almost sleeping, And if you don't take your tablet on time, the pain comes back with vengeance. And so these were the type of patients I saw initially. And in the very next 18 months after taking this attachment, I presented a paper of pilot study of patients who are on morphine sulfate, 60 milligrams. I could reduce their dosage by 30% in a 40% people whom we were taking as a data. And from those 40 patients, 30% of the patients, their dosage got reduced by 30%, which was a very great thing, which could not have happened had there been no homeopathy. So that was a very big achievement. And then after another 18 more months, that is 36 months, they gave me another project on bony metastasis, where the cancer has entered the bone and the severe bony pain were there. And patient was on very high dose of morphine. Here, the result went up to 60% in the next 36 months. And so the encouragement kept on coming. And then we took various other projects of reducing painkillers and reducing, morphine. And slowly, what I really wanted to achieve, that is giving a life full of dignity to the patient, started coming in. I am not aiming to cure cancer right now because that is miles away for me right now. But I am aiming basically to do a good palliation so that he can die with dignity and he can live with dignity. That is what I am thinking right now.
That's amazing. So you obviously were the homeopath in India that introduced homeopathy into the mainstream hospitals in India. And so how many hospitals in India these days use homeopathy, and what does that look like over there?
So let's say that when I started homeopathy 42 years back, none. But in the last year, the government is realizing the value of homeopathy. And I think so they'll make a law now that every government hospital should have a homeopathic department. But in slowly, many hospitals are realizing that they should have an alternative medicine department. Like yesterday, I had a chat with my daughter in Singapore. And she said that the Singapore University invited her for a talk to start an alternative medicine teaching in the university, or some project of alternative medicine in the university study. So all this small good news keeps on coming from various directions. In Italy, also the government of Italy has started some clinics where they have started alternative medicine in cancer patients. And I think so in Brazil, there is one more center. So I think so it's spreading around the world. And in India, of course, much more, much more. And let's see, the future looks very good in the next 10, 15 years. I think so. Most of the hospitals in India will have a good department.
I think any government worldwide that is interested in being smart about how they spend their healthcare money in their country should really consider homeopathy, because it is the most cost-effective medicine on the planet and, so extremely effective. But if we just talk about from a cost point of view, the governments can really save so much money by introducing homeopathy alongside the pharmaceutical model as well, which is, I think, wonderful. Now, you've also written 55 books, or actually I read somewhere else you've now written over 60 books. Do you even know how many books you've written?
Not really, not count what I write, but you have to keep on writing.
Yeah. How on earth do you find the time for all of this? That's just what I want to know, because you lecture all over the world and you do all this work in the clinic and you write all these books. How do you do it, Farokh?
So I don't do it alone. I have a team of people who help me to write the book. Many times the books are my lectures which I had given in the past. Mm-hmm. And then somebody collects all my lectures, the sound clips, the video clips, and translate it into the book form. So like that, I have written a book.
Yeah.
And sometimes I remember in the olden days, there used to be an iPod, the Apple Pod.
Yeah.
And I used to carry it in my pocket, So wherever I go and whatever I think, I'll just speak some rubbish in the iPod, then keep it, and then I keep on recording, and then give the iPod to my secretary, and I said, now start typing it. And she will type everything, Then she will give it to me for editing, and then it becomes very easy. So books were really never written with an intention of writing the book, but these were just the stray thoughts or random thoughts that used to come in my mind. And I still have that iPod, the white color,
What do you?
But yeah, I still have it and I still use it, and I still like that thing that you keep it in your pocket and start recording, because they used to attach a small mic below. And it was such a nice gadget that I invested in, and it was very helpful. So some books were written like that. Some were actual translation of my seminar given in more than 30 countries, So I used to just translate all my lectures from different languages. So that's how the books kept on coming, But I have a team behind me who really supports me.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing that you do that, because often, we have really good inspiration when you're, in the shower or driving or wherever. So it's good that you actually just recorded that down so that the rest of the homeopathic world can benefit from that. You've got so much experience. I sometimes wish with these master homeopaths like yourself that we could just download your brain into all of us. So we don't have to go through the 40 years of experience before we get as good as you are. We can just download it. Have you got any favorite books that you've written or any favorite topics?
So, yeah, I would say that I have got two interests. One is homeopathy and treating cases in the hospital and hospital-based practice. But my other interest is totally opposite, and that is psychology. So I have studied Jungian psychology, and I have studied the dreams part within the psychology, and I have written a book on dreams and homeopathy. I have written a book on fairy tales and homeopathy. So how fairy tales can help you to understand the person's psychology. So I have worked a lot on fairy tales. Yes.
I didn't know about that one. That's in English as well?
Yeah. So
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yes. So you can read that book also, that if somebody is fascinated to one particular fairy tale, then you can understand the mind of that. And the fairy tale is not just like reading a fairy tale and happy ending, but the symbolic meaning of every character within the fairy tale, the archetype within the fairy tale. I try to analyze it from the homeopathic angle as well as from psychological angle and make the reading much more interesting. So I have worked on femininity and injured female. So I worked a lot and written lots of chapters. The book is not yet published, but how a woman who is being injured over the period of years ever since you start from Moses onwards, the role model changes of women from at the time of Moses, Christianity, Stone Age, Copper Age, Metal Age, New Age, how the woman has changed and what made her change and what happened to her psychology and what is the woman of 2022 and what was the woman when we started in the Stone Age. So all those evolution, the metamorphosis, I have taken many seminars. In fact, next month in Prague in Czechoslovakia, I am going to speak on injured femininity for 2 full days. So about 16 hours I am going to talk. So that's my
Wow.
interest. Yeah, that's my another interest, a different direction, totally. But I
Amazing.
love psychology.
And do you, I think when you said that psychology is different to homeopathy, I feel like they're just so interlinked though, really.
Yes, of course. I
Yeah.
tried telling them. I try.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by the work of Carl Jung, and that's how the thing started.
It seems that many homeopaths mention Carl Jung in their work. And actually, when you talked about dreams and homeopathy, I've got that book of Jane Cacchetti, The Dreams and Symbols in Homeopathy. And she quotes a lot of Jung as well in there. And I keep hearing his name coming up. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And when you do these lectures, Farokh, with the injured or the feminines especially, do you mention remedies, specific remedies as well? Or is it more for the... Do you? And can you talk to us a little bit about that? Just a sneak peek.
Okay.
So I don't want to spoil the lectures for the guys in Prague, but just
so let's take about cuttlefish, Now there's a small fish in the sea known as cuttlefish. Now we have a medicine made from cuttlefish in homeopathy,
sepia,
which we call as sepia. Do you follow? But where does sepia come from? Sea. Now symbolically, sea is a symbol of mother. It's a very large symbol of mother. Sepia is a mollusk, so it has got a very soft bone and a soft shell like this, Now that resembles the uterus of the female organ. So you have a uterus, you have a mother. Sepia brings out ink. When the sepia is attacked, the fish brings out the ink to camouflage, correct? So here, this whole phenomena of shadow is very important in psychology, that we talk about that in sepia. The ink contains so many chemicals, and here we correlate sepia with the different hormonal changes that happens in the life of the woman. So we understand that also. So like that, I study the animal, I study the symbolism, I study the archetype, and then I correlate that with the human anatomy, human physiology, human psychology, and built up a picture. And like that, I have written many books taking individual remedies. I have not written a book on Materia Medica so far because there are 5,000 remedies in Materia Medica, and to write a book on those remedies will be humanly impossible because only if you have studied one remedy, it takes 2-3 years for me. So how can I write 5,000 remedies unless I do cut paste, which I hate? So when I'm really with the remedy and I'm living with the remedy for some time, then I'm in position to write something on that remedy. So for fairy tale, I went all the way to Denmark to see Hans Andersen, who wrote so many fairy tales, and where he lived and how did he do, and he was a lawyer first and why he converted to writing a fairy tale. So I always take a very long journey to understand everything, do a good research, and then only write something.
That's amazing. I mean, like you say, I always feel like I'm just constantly scratching the surface of a remedy. And it feels like the more books I read, the more I learn about different remedies. But yeah, I like your approach. You really need to sit with the remedy for, like you say, a few years to really understand it. And it's not just that's the cuttlefish, but actually going into where does it come from? What is the chemicals that it produces? All that part to really understand a remedy and then be able to recognize it in a client. That's why I say we need to find technology to download your brain into all of the homeopaths. So we can just have like a shortcut to that. But sometimes I think being a homeopath, it's just it's a way of life, isn't it? It's like a journey. It's just, you see the whole world around you so differently. It's just, I can't imagine doing any other job in my life. It's just so fulfilling. Yeah. I wonder if we can maybe go back to your role in cancer, Farokh, if that's okay, because that's something is in Australia, it's just, that's why I love speaking with the Indian homeopaths, because you guys get to actually go and do such amazing work. Whereas here in Australia, it always feels like we're walking on eggshells. We have to be so careful about what we say. We can't say that we can treat anything. We have to use all sorts of, other words to insinuate that we can help people. And of course, we can't touch people with cancer. We can say that we can help their immune system, all that. So to speak to somebody like you that are actually in there, in the trenches, doing the work, seeing the results, able to help, it's just so inspiring. And of course, I'm really strive for us to get there one day over here as well. But what role does homeopathy play in cancer treatment? You've already mentioned a little bit about the pain management, but yeah,
the
talk to
most
us about
important. So I feel that cancer is like any other disease that we see in homeopathy, because homeopathy treats the person and not the disease. That's very, very important. Allopathy always treats the diagnosis. So you have asthma, take a bronchodilator. You have infection, take antibiotics. If you have cancer, go for surgery. That's how the allopathy works. Now, that approach is also good. I won't criticize that approach. But the problem is that the disease can come back again. The asthma can come back again if you stop the asthma medicine. The infection can come back again if you stop antibiotics. The cancer will come back again after the surgery. So, this is not a very, very correct approach, because the body does not learn from the past experience of the treatment that you have taken. Body brings it back. And why body brings it back? Because body does not work in singularity. That if there is a bacteria in your bladder, you attack the bladder and kill the bacteria in the bladder. No, body does not work like that. Body works in unity. Do you follow? And so, if there is an infection in the bladder, the whole body is sick, and not only the bladder. And so, if you are going to target the bladder with your medicine, you are escaping all other part of the body, and that is why the infection will keep on coming back. It is like giving you an example of Australia, that you have a president, you have a prime minister, you have a government. Now, what the prime minister and the president and the parliament makes a law is followed by the whole country. Do you follow? So similarly, in human body also, we have got psycho, neuro, endocrine axis. Now, this psycho, neuro, endocrine axis governs the whole body. So that's the parliament of the body. What law the parliament makes, the whole body follows. And that is why you cannot say, only my bladder is sick. All the areas of your body will be sick. And that is why when you take start homeopathic treatment, or when you want to introduce homeopathy, we don't only focus at the bladder. I'll give you an example. Many women comes with recurrent cystitis. Cystitis means inflammation of the bladder. And they take antibiotics and they get better. And they take antibiotics and they get better. And then she will come and tell me, but I get more cystitis just before my menses. After my menses, my cystitis is much better. Now, I can't take antibiotics every menstrual cycle, correct? So, I am in a fixed position. So, I have come to you for homeopathy. And then she says, also after every intercourse, I get cystitis. Very good. So, before menses, after sexual intercourse, you get cystitis. Okay. Are you married? Yes, I am married. My husband is very, very angry person. He's so angry that he doesn't look people around me and just blows all the anger on me in front of many people, and I feel very insulted and humiliated. Well, now if I'm a allopathic doctor, I am not interested in what her husband does to her, or whether cystitis come before menses, or whether cystitis come after sexual intercourse. I just give a plain antibiotic and finish it off. No, in homeopathy, we don't do that. So we'll understand what is the effect of husband's behavior on our body. I will also ask her about a whole menstrual cycle. And then I will select a remedy Staphysagra for the same. give it to her, and then the infection never comes back in her life.
Mm.
You understood?
And
So
the bonus of that is she'll probably stand up to her husband a bit more as well and not let him treat her
yes.
that way with the remedy.
So this is how we work. And I'll tell you a very nice case. I had a case of a young lady with a lot of rheumatoid arthritis, She has a painful joints and the stiffness of the finger and stiffness of the joints. And she was on steroids and all immunosuppressive drugs. So the bad effects of the drug started coming up, and it was a totally unbalanced situation. If she takes drugs, she becomes more sick. If she does not take the drug, also she becomes sick because of the arthritis. So she decides to come for homeopathy. So what do we do as a homeopath? We start talking. We start understanding the man behind the disease. So disease, everybody knows rheumatoid arthritis. You can read on internet, you can read in the book. But the man behind the disease changes from patient to patient. So she was a very nice school teacher to begin with before marriage. She marries into a very orthodox family where there are lots of restrictions. You can't wear this, you can't talk like this, you can't go out like this, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, you have to behave like this. Restrictions. Okay. She is very unhappy about that, but the husband says, this is how it is. Take it or leave it. Something like that. So, no situations. In the school also, after some time, she comes across a very bad principal. And because she is very mild and gentle, people who are very mild and gentle are usually abused in life. And so she also starts getting abused. And she's a very brilliant teacher and a very good teacher. But somehow the principal feels very insecure about her knowledge and her ability and starts giving work to other teachers. And these other teachers are not able to teach so nicely. Students are very unhappy and she feels very bad from inside, but she cannot do anything. So there are two situations in her life where she is totally helpless. In the house, and so she's just like, then I said, what kind of dreams do you see? And she says, the dreams are very scary. I said, what kind of scary? So she says, somebody is pouring a melting metals like copper or iron on my body, and I become stiff like a statue. Now I put the dream and the two situations together. When you are statue also, you cannot move. In the school, she cannot move. In the house, she cannot move. Everywhere there is, and in the body also there's a stiffness and she cannot move. See how the mind, body and the disease are joined together.
Mm-hmm.
So you open the repertory, go to the chapter of mind. Under delusion, you will see delusion hindered. Delusion hindered at work. The remedy is China. Now China is quinine. And you all know that people with rheumatoid arthritis usually are given lot of quinine by the allopathic doctors. Hydrochloroquine. And so we started the treatment with quinine, that is China, in a very small potency. And we said, okay, you can reduce some drugs from your rheumatoid arthritis, and we will try to give you China as a substitute to those drugs. More than the physical amelioration, the psychological amelioration came in a very big way. And when the psychological amelioration came, physical amelioration started. And so over a period of next few years, she was maintained on the same remedy on different potency, different dosages, and we could control the whole autoimmune disease very nicely. The relapses became less and less and less. Psychology, she became so happy. She could now do much better work in the school. She was no longer a very girl with a, timidity and mildness. No, she could stand up and talk to her principal that why are you doing this? Look for the benefit of the student. In the house also, she said, I'm an educated woman. Why I should be dominated? Why I should be restricted? And all those kind of why came up. In China, acted nicely. But see here how I correlated the dream, the mind, the psychology, the body. This is how homeopathy works.
Hi, homies. Just a quick break in the episode to ask for your help. Producing this show takes a lot of time and money, and I would really appreciate your support so I can continue producing new episodes for you to enjoy. you can visit www.buymeacoffee.com/hangout to make a donation from as little as $5. Believe me, every little bit helps. I'd also like to invite you all to my Facebook group called Homeopathy Hangout, where we can continue the conversation. And for my Australian listeners, check out my amazing range of homeopathic kits, remedies, crystals, supplements, and more at www.eugeniekruger.com. All right, let's get back to the episode. Thanks for your time. Absolutely.
And this is the same with cancer also. So many cancer patients who come, we understand their life story. You have to literally wear their shoes and walk their journey to understand them. Where do they come from? Where do they want to go? And what has happened to them? If you can understand the three answers to these questions, then you will understand why they got cancer. Majority of cancer patients has a huge trauma, either in the early childhood or when they are adolescents or in their young age or at the job place or in their relationships. God knows where. There can be multiple traumas, there can be singular traumas. It depends. And once you understand what was the effect of that trauma on their body, then you select the right remedy from your Materia Medica, similar remedy, or what kind of cancer he has. We are not interested what kind of cancer he has. And that remedy will definitely cure the patient if it is in a curable state, or palliate the situation if it's in an advanced state. So that is how I work.
And Farokh, do you ever find that the part of the body where the cancer manifests has to do with their story of why that happened in the first place? For example, a woman who has breast cancer might have issues with mothering or nurturing or something like that, or
a lot. So, see, every organ in the human body has a particular shape. Do you agree? There is no two organs with the same shape unless there are two, like kidney, like eyes, like ears, correct? Otherwise, every organ has the different shape. Have you ever imagined why this is happening?
I haven't, no. I have now.
So Rudolf Steiner, Swiss-Austrian physician, has written very nicely on the organs, the shape of the organs, and the emotions. So with what kind of emotions your organ gets affected. So if you see somewhere the shape of the kidney is like a bean shape, like a bean. And then if you see the lungs also, you see a fissure in the lungs. Do you see? There's a fissure in the lung. There's a fissure in the kidney also. Both these organs will get definitely affected where there is a high degree of sensitivity. Now, allopathic doctors will say, oh, come on, lung cancer means smoking. Come on, it's not always that. Not all smokers die of cancer, correct?
Yeah.
People who are susceptible will die of cancer. And so many times, organs with fissure, like prostate gland, also has got a fissure between the median lobe and the lateral lobe. There is a high degree of sensitivity. So recently I treated a case of prostate cancer, His cancer had gone into the bones, the pelvic bones. And the doctor said that, look, we have treated you with hormones. We have chopped out your testes. We have done all our best. But yet it went into the bone. Now we are sorry. We can't do more.
Don't have any parts left to cut out.
Yeah. So he comes to me. He says, I don't want the metastasis in my pelvis. I don't want this. I don't want that. I said, let's understand your story. And now see here, I'm going to discuss the sensitivity. So this man was a bus driver. And then he worked very, very hard, earned a lot of money, and started a business of logistic transport. So from a very small little savings, he became a rich man, worked very hard, never paid attention to his own life, and had 3 daughters. He forgot as he grew old about his own emotions, and his focus was children and family. The first daughter falls in love with a man whom he disapproves and runs away from the house. So that was a big blow. After that, he develops hypertension in the body. The second daughter also grows when she enters her 20s and finishes her university education. She also decides to marry somebody whom the father disapproves. Now, father was a little conservative person And so over a period of years, his relationship with his two daughters were not very good. But he could not speak that to anybody and he kept everything inside. So he was very protective about his third daughter. The third daughter was very nice to him, very, very nice to him. And she will obey everything what the father will say. And then she was diagnosed with a uterine fibroid. And he thought she will die. Now, nobody dies with fibroid, but he thought somehow, even though he was told that nothing, but his attachment to that daughter was so strong that he felt nothing should happen to my daughter. And then the doctor said that she has many fibroid. And so it is not good that you keep the fibroid. We'll have to remove the fibroids. And if we remove the fibroids, chances of pregnancy is very less. But the father said she has to yet marry and have child and blah, blah, blah. So that stress invited cancer prostate in the father. So when he comes to me, he said 3 children, 2 were very bad, hurted me a lot. This I am very attached to, and I feel very bad that why God did not give me some illness, and I want God to give me all the illnesses so that I will die and she can live. Something like that, That kind of sensitivity was there in this particular man. He started praying to God and this and that. Finally, the medicine that I selected was aurum muriaticum. Now, after aurum muriaticum, after 6 months, we did a PET scan, and the PET scan says, okay, there is a cancer in the bone, but it is stable. It has not progressed. So that was a big achievement. Otherwise, in 6 months, bony metastasis go very fast.
And it's very painful as well, hey?
Yes, another 6 months. Very mild regression of the metastasis. That's good. Another 6 months. Very less regression of the metastasis. Now, almost 70% of the metastasis has been regressed under aurum muriaticum, different potency. What do you have to say?
Just that is absolutely amazing.
You saw? So how the sensitivity of the patient was understood with the sensitivity of aurum met? Like the whole story I can say in one line, that a man puts all his eggs in one basket and then the basket falls down and all the eggs are broken. And how do you feel? That's exactly what he felt. Aurum, this is the story. It's very interesting to treat cancer patient and understand their story. The problem lies over here is that many homeopaths don't want to go through this whole cycle of understanding patients. So that's how maybe they are due to laziness, or maybe because of lack of knowledge, or maybe because of lack of training. They are not able to undergo all this process and understand this. And that is how the results are not very satisfactory with homeopaths, because results are directly proportional to the skills of the homeopath. But unfortunately, instead of blaming the homeopathy gets blamed. And that's how homeopathy gets a very bad reputation in general public, in hospitals, amongst doctors, amongst governments. And they say, oh, come on, homeopathy is a quack, because they make a mess out of cancer patients. Yes, I totally agree. A lot of mess is happening even in India with homeopaths treating cancer patients, because they are not qualified enough for the disease. They are not worked with cancer patients. They lack the skill, no proper training, and then you start accepting cancer patient, which is giving like a razor in the hand of a monkey. He'll start cutting the throat of people. Something that. So what we really require in homeopathy and what is the real need right now is training. And we should have a full-time course of training people in a hospital setup with a good knowledge. Because if you refer the literature of homeopathy, there is very little written on cancer, honestly. So if you count 265 years of work of homeopathy of the last 265 years, very little information, how to treat cancer, how to manage cancer, nothing is mentioned. And very old terminologies are used. And science has changed a lot. So new terminology, new way of thinking, new concept, all this is lacking in homeopathy. So only if you are working in that field day and night, you'll understand what is real cancer. And then to correlate from the old literature, the present scenario, is a very tough job. And that is why I would appeal that only if you are really qualified, if you are really very, very skillful, you should take a risk of helping other cancer patient. Otherwise, you will damage more than doing something good to the patient. It's not very easy.
Mm.
I, in my practice, see only 2 to 3 patients in a day of cancer because it's too much. Each patient takes 2, 3 hours to understand. So, if you are going to see 3 patients, imagine how many hours you have to spend at least for the first time till you find the right remedy. You can't see 500 patients of cancer in one day. Impossible. Impossible. So I think so we should have that kind of setup, those facilities, understand their feelings, analyze those feelings. I think so then you can do a good job.
And do you think as a homeopath taking, like if you were somebody specializing in cancer cases, that would take a lot like out of you as a practitioner as well, because you're dealing like they're usually pretty heavy cases.
Yes,
Like-
yes, I totally agree. Sometimes you feel really sad for days together hearing the stories of people, especially if you see young children, young children.
And we're seeing that more and more.
Yeah, feel very bad.
So, Farokh, can you maybe tell us what has homeopathy meant for you in your life? So you've had many years, over 40 years of homeopathy. I was born in 1979. So when you said that you finished your training then, I was like, wow, you've had like this massive lifetime of homeopathy. And I'm just a little baby homeopath. But what has homeopathy meant for you personally in your life? Like when you decided to be a homeopath and now fast forward 40 years,
So
how would you
basically,
sum that up?
I feel homeopathy is like a challenge. Okay. So every day there is a new challenge. Modern medicine, I just finished my medical school last year. For last 1 year, I was in the medical school learning advanced pharmacology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So again, going back to medical school at the age of 65 years was a new experience for me. And when I visited the hospital and the medical school, I just thought that still the modern medicine is very, very focused and very, very specific. Where to become a homeopath, you need knowledge of many, many more things. That's very important. So I felt that when I started practicing homeopathy and when I was a homeopathic student in a homeopathic college, I had a very little skill. That's all. And then every day it was a challenge that how do I understand a delusion? How do I understand the dream? How do I understand the fear? All this, if I don't understand, it's no good for me. It's like that. So in Apis mellifica, you have dreams of flying, but the honeybee flies. But what is the meaning of dreams of flying? Is flying an freedom? Is flying an independence? Is flying has to do something with that? So every day there was a challenge to learn something new, what I see. And homeopathy is so vast that still I am nowhere in completion. Okay. Every day it's a learning process that why, how. Because if you don't understand and just apply mechanically, the results don't come. So if you are going to dream of a lion in your clinic and you open the repertory and see dreams lion, this is the remedy, and you give that remedy, it will never work. Because
Not just
lion
about
for
that.
that patient can be something else. It could be just a symbol. It could be just an archetype. And it could not be the reality. And that is why I say use the word challenge, because you have to really understand why somebody is talking about lion and not elephant. So for me, this is the learning experience, and it is thrill not only from symbolicism or dreams or analysis, but even in the element of pain. A cancer patient comes and some cancer patients will say, I have a burning pain. Now I have to understand why the word burning and why not cutting and why not shooting and why there is inflammation and why there is redness. And if there is redness, it can be because of anger. And why when we are angry, the body becomes red. Why we are angry, the body becomes heat. And now the burning. So burning, heat, redness, anger, suppress anger. You saw it runs in one particular line.
Mm.
See how I have generalized everything.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes from the air in human body. Everything has a cause. But you should be patient enough to understand the cause and take some effort and not like a lazy bum, accept everything what the patient says without analyzing, open the repertory or use a software, see which remedy comes and give that remedy. No, that kind of homeopathy may give results, may not give results. It's like buying a ticket of lotto. How many wins in lotto? God knows. Something like that. So I think so. Effort is very, very important. And if you don't want to put effort, then you should not be a homeopath.
I would agree with that. And Farokh, your beautifully stunning daughter, Rukshin, you must be so proud that she's a homeopath as well. What's that like having her on the team?
Very nice. She worked with me for 7 years in my own clinic before she migrated to Singapore. And so I tried to give her. Now, how much she has absorbed from me, I don't know. But I know that she's doing really fine in Singapore and she should carry on the work further.
Mm, that's beautiful. I love seeing these children of homeopaths that are now, rising. Yeah. Hilary Dorian's daughter and, Misha Nolan's son, Luke, and Isaac Golden's daughter. And it's wonderful. I'm loving this new generation of homeopaths coming out and just, expanding, pushing the boundaries a little bit, writing their own books, doing their own works and just carrying on this. And my 7-year-old daughter is adamant she's going to become a homeopath, but she says she wants to be a homeopathic vet. She doesn't want to work with people. Good. She wants to work with animals. Good. And I said to her, that's really good. So, I'm trying. I always say to her, just do what makes you happy. I don't want to push her in that direction, but I won't lie. If she goes this direction as well, I'll be really, really happy. Yeah. It's been so wonderful to have you on today, Farokh. Thank you so much. I know you've got a crazy busy schedule, so for you to fit in an hour to come and speak with me is just the most humbling experience. Thank you so much for your work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.